and welcome to another episode of the Rubbin' is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show, brought to you by FantasyDonks.com, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know to start playing daily fantasy sports. I'm Sean Big Papa Williams.
I'm Jamie Learjet Lear.
And we'll be bringing you our breakdown action from the AAA 400 at the Monster Mile in Dover. Rain, 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 and more rain is the story of this week's race. As qualifying was rained out, the starting grid has been set based on the chase parameters. The guys in order of the chase one through, so that's pretty standard. Both practices were also rain shortened, so we have limited information to go on. So we're going to be using a lot of track history and a lot of how people were faring at practice this week to determine our plays. So, Lear, what is the other parts of the track breakdown other than the chance of rain this week?
So as far as that goes, man, good to be back with you in person instead of over FaceTime. But
I'm happy, and I'm guessing our viewers are happy that they don't have me in the little minute box. All right.
But as far as the Monster Mile here at Dover, it's a 1 mile track. It's going to take 400 laps to get this race done. Average number of cautions here is 7 in Dover, Delaware. But as far as the track goes, with it being 1 mile, there's going to be a lot of pushing and stuff here in the corners too. But as far as that goes, it's an oval track. Turns are 24 degrees. The straightaways are 48 feet wide, and the turns are 58 feet wide. Since it's a smaller track, a little harder to pass. So drivers usually that are up front will stay up front in this race. But race will be tomorrow, Sunday, October the 4th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN. I feel like we've been watching on NBCSN for ever and ever.
I think NBCSN kind of put all their chips in the middle of the table on that.
We want this. Yeah. As far as the weather, Papa kind of broke it down already a little bit, but it's going to be 63 degrees, cloudy and windy with 20% chance of precipitation. So that's actually kind of a pretty small chance.
Yeah.
But winds will be northeast at 22 miles an hour with this obviously effect of Hurricane Joaquin possibly making an effect on this race. So hopefully we'll get the race in and not have it rained out. But as far as an interesting fact here, in this past May race here at the FedEx 400, Autism Speaks, Martin Truex Jr. started second, finished sixth, and he led 121 laps and was one of the drivers you definitely had to have to take down a GPP that week. So just a little interesting tidbit there because he's one of my drivers this week.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'm going to unfortunately be the fade the Truex team this week. I just, he just hasn't been running good enough for me.
I hear you.
But we'll get to that, I'm sure, in just a little bit. But before we get to the Who's Burning Rubber segment, I think it's only fair to talk about when you're at the Monster Mile, you have to recognize Jimmy Johnson's just utter dominance at this track, including the win here in the spring. That's 10. He joins an elite crew of drivers that have 10 wins at various tracks. There's only 3 others, and I just, the problem is he's $11,200 this week.
Expensive.
And to be honest, when you put him in your roster, it really cripples what you can do with your team. I love Jimmy Johnson on this track. He dominates it. This is his track, but that price tag is just too much for me.
No, I hear you too, man. As far as him, he's led 631 laps here in the last 5 races. So, that is utter domination here at the Monster Mile. But I would love to roster him too. I think a lot of people will be on him because of his history. But I think there's also going to be a healthy amount of players too that fade him just based on that price point as well.
Yeah, I agree. But with that said, guys, I think that takes care of what we had to get out of the way. Let's get to the Who's Burning Rubber.
Burning Rubber, baby!
And my first Burning Rubber play of the week is Carl Edwards. Yes, I'm still on Team JGR. And at 9,500, he's still too cheap not to own. He had the best practices and was only one of a few drivers, or I had like a handful, 3 or 4, that actually got faster every lap in session 2 before it got canceled for rain. Edwards is on a tear currently. He's second in the chase. He's starting in the front pack with his other teammates.
Yeah.
When being up front is important here at the Monster Mile, I'm going to take the cars that are sitting 1, 2, 3. Like just a little bit of just a little bit of foresight on my lineup. I'm rolling all 3 of the JGR team guys this week and leaving off Kyle, starting a little bit later.
Yeah, in 13th.
Yeah, so that's my first burn rubber play. Dude, at 9,500, it's criminal not to own Carl Edwards.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the Carl Edwards play as well this week. He's on my lug nut lineup as well. But cousin Carl, he's doing well, and I look for the momentum for their team to continue in this chase as the stages keep going. And at his price point, it is criminal not to put him on your lineup.
It really,
he's been performing.
It really is. All right, Lear, who's your first guy to burn some rubber this week?
My first burn rubber guy this week is Joey Logano. Logano is in the thick of the things as far as the Sprint Cup Championship. He's currently sitting in the 4th place position. Due to the qualifying being canceled, obviously he's going to be starting in the 4th spot as well. In his last 4 races here at the Monster Mile, he started 11th, 3rd, 16th, and 5th with finishes of 3rd, 8th, 4th, and 11th. I love where he is starting from this week. He's starting up front with those other JGR guys. And he loves these smaller type tracks, especially when he's starting up front. And his cost is very reasonable too. He's only $9,600, and you can build a sexy lineup around him and team him up with like a Carl Edwards and some of those other guys. And it's a great price point for him. And I definitely love me some Joey Bag of Donuts Logano this week.
Yeah, I have no problem with that play. Based on the qualifying, those guys all up front, like they're just legit plays this week.
And the Penske, as far as the Penske guys, they do well here.
Oh, yeah.
But definitely Joey Logano with that 4th position. He's going to be up front and leading some of those 400 laps and having some of those fastest laps as well.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. I was unfortunately unable to put him in my lineup when I did the JGR stack. But if you want to deviate from the JGR stack a little bit and save you a little bit more money, you can you can take Logano with 2 of the other guys and go that route. I'm totally down to do that as well. You know me, man. I'm just kind of grabbing it and going for the JGR train.
You love the coach.
I do. All right, guys. So my next pick to burn rubber this week is going to surprise people. I'm reaching outside the chase field here, and I'm grabbing Casey Kane at 7,600.
Say what?
Yeah, I know, Casey Kane, and he's all over the place. He's an inconsistent driver.
Yeah.
But one place he's been consistent and one place he keeps getting better is here at the Monster Mile. He finished 4th here in the spring and seems to get better every time he takes to the track. Kane was looking great at practice, and because the way the field's set off of points, he should be able to give you great place differential starting at the 17th position. He's one of those handful of drivers, guys, that every time he was out in the second practice was getting faster.
Yeah.
He looked good in practice 1. I just like the way Kane runs here at the Monster Mile. And we've seen since he started this track, he has 5 runs. He has 4 top 20s here out of his 5 races. And every race, he just gets better. And I love a guy that seems to have a track that he's honed in on and just improves. I think at the 7,600 price tag, he can't do you any harm and will possibly lead you to a GPP victory this week.
He's definitely, as far as a price point, he's a good price point there for a name, guy in the Hendrick stable there. I'm not on Casey Kane this week. I definitely wish you the best of luck with that pick.
Okay.
And I think he is going to be a good, GPP place differential type of driver. And is one of those things where I think he's just been so far up and down this year, mostly down. That he might be getting some whispers in his ear about, hey, you need to start putting some stuff together, or Hendrick might be looking for other alternatives. So, but I definitely think Casey Kane will have a good shot as far as some place differential. I definitely don't think he's going to win the race with this being the smaller type track and where he's starting from.
Right.
But you definitely have to mix in some of those place differential guys to get you some points.
Easily, I think he could work his way up to a top 10 and possibly a top 5.
Sure.
And if how well he was running in practice is any indication, he's got a top 5 car.
The last race, in the spring here, the FedEx 400, he started in the early 20s. I think it was like 23rd and finished 4th. So he definitely has had the history here of doing that. So
all right, Lear, who's your second burning rubber guy?
My second burning rubber guy this week is the guy that we already mentioned a little bit about, but I'm all about the Martin Truex Jr. play this week. He's $9,300, and as far as that goes, I know he's a little bit expensive, but he's had an up and down season. But in the midst of the season, he secured a spot in the Sprint Cup Championship, and he's currently sitting ninth, so he's going to be starting in the ninth position. So he's going to be starting in the top 10. As far as that goes, he had a really nice finish here as far as the FedEx 400 in the spring and May. He started second and finished sixth, but the key here is he led 121 laps, so he got quite a bit of points just based off of that aspect. But like I said, he's a bit expensive, but I believe he's going to be a pretty low percentage owned guy. A lot of people are not going to be on the Martin Truex play because he just hasn't been performing very well lately. And so, with his last 4 races here, he started 10th, 26th, 16th, and 2nd with finishes of 15th, 6th, 7th, and 6th. So some really good finishes there on some place differential, and he's starting in the 9th. And I look for him to stay up front and really contend to win this week and get him, as far as points for the next stage of the championship. So he really likes these smaller type tracks too, and definitely like me some Martin Truex Jr. this week.
Yeah, see, I have a fundamental problem with paying $9,300 for a guy that the last few races has bested at 49 and has floored at -3, right?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I find it ironic, and I don't mean this in a negative way, that you're down on Casey Kane, who is literally the same type of driver statistically up and down, and I get a $2,300, almost a $2,000 price decrease.
Sure.
To get that same.
Well, the reason I like him
upside
is because he's got, he has the chase as far as what he's.
Right. No,
so he's racing for a purpose.
I get you, and he does start 9th, but. Like I said, I'd rather take a guy that's starting 17th for $2,000 less.
Sure.
But that's just me, and I might be wrong. I wish you the best on the Truex pick, and you're right. He does have a good track history here. But when it comes down to when you're setting your lineups, guys, you have to make these choices, and you have to come down on one side of the argument or the other. And that's just the way we're coming down on these arguments today.
And we're never gonna fully 100% agree all the time. And that's what makes this show a good one, because we can sit here and discuss and argue about what our aspects are.
And we're both big enough boys to understand that, in daily fantasy, there's never really a wrong argument.
Sure.
You can be right for the wrong reasons or wrong for the right reasons a lot of times. And, when that happens, you have to know that some of the best ways you'll come about daily fantasy lineups is a situation like this where we're both disagreeing. And, maybe the best combination is to avoid both those guys.
Sure.
Or maybe it is to take both of them, and deviate on one of our other picks. As we've seen several times this season so far, had you combined the two of our recommendations, you would have had the prime lineups. So with that said, I think that wraps up who's burning rubber this week. Now it's time for the guys that are going to go to the garage. And to be honest, guys, this is in this section, it's either guys that we don't like that are overpriced, guys that are running bad, not necessarily that we think their car is going to break, because as much as I wish I was psychic and knew the future, I don't know those things. But we're sending them to the garage anyway. They're guys we don't want on our team. And I'll start off with Clint Boyer. And I know it seems like I'm picking on Clint Boyer because I told you to avoid him last week. But look, guys, I realize he's in the chase, but he's all but out. He needs a win here to advance him to the next round. We know he's losing his ride. I want to be wrong here because I really like Boyer, and I want him to be able to get a new ride and to be successful. But I just don't think I am wrong this week.
Well, they did announce with the Tony Stewart that he will be taking over Tony Stewart's car, not next year, but the year after that. So what's he going to do for next year? I have no idea.
Right. So we still have a year that he's without a job, essentially. And the reason why I'm putting him on the list again this week is his price point being $6,900. He really makes even a player like me that knows better think about owning him and thinking about rostering him.
Yeah, that price point is killer.
But the truth is I'd rather spend $700 more and get a Casey Kane, or spend the exact same amount of money and buy either Newman or McMurray or Menard. They're just better drivers in better spots right now. Yeah. And he may be the better driver in the long run out of that group, But as everything sits with the equipment and the situations and the current trends, I'm just avoiding Boyer, and I think you should too.
No, I agree with you, man. He's got some good track history here at Dover, but just the way he's been trending and everything's just kind of been in a negative for him lately, and I just don't see him doing anything with this week's race. So
yeah, and he's, because of the chase, he's starting so high it doesn't give him any sort of leeway.
Yeah,
if 16. He falls back, like, you're gonna lose points. Yeah. You know, it's just a really risky play.
Yeah, and that could easily happen. He could easily finish, late 20s and not have a good day at all.
Absolutely. All right, Lear, who's your going to the garage pick this week?
My going to the garage guy is a chase contender as well. I do have the one Penske teammate as my burn and rubber guy, but this guy I have going to the garage, which is Brad Keselowski in the number 2 Miller Lite. Brad's basically been, slipping lately. He hasn't been performing as of late, and I mean when I say late, like the last couple of weeks. But majority of the season, has been very good for him. Oh, yeah. This week he's starting 8th. And like I said, Penske usually runs good here at the Monster Mile. In the Spring FedEx 400, he started 19th and finished 12th, and he did lead 28 laps. But I think Brad will have a decent race tomorrow. But to do his cost, which is $9,900, I just don't feel that he's going to pay off at his price point. There are better options out there. His last 4 races here, he started 6th, 1st, 4th, and 19th with finishes of 37th. That was due to a crash. 2nd, and 12th. And I just have a deep, sinking feeling that he's going to get involved in a crash tomorrow. And I know, obviously, that we can't predict that.
Yeah,
but I just have this this feeling that something's going to happen with him, and he's going to end up having a really bad day.
Right. And just for those of you that are new to the show, when Lear has these gut feelings, he's either going to win the race or he's actually going to wreck. Yeah. It's going to be one of the two. There's going to be no
in between there. Yeah. so choose that at your will.
No, I agree with you. Keselowski, unfortunately, just isn't running at the pace that he was earlier in the season, and it's just been recently. And the problem is, once again, here with the starting grid. I think if he was back in the pack, I would have zero problems paying for him. Yeah. Thinking that he could move up a few spots and get me pass differential there. But where he's at, I think he's going to be one of the guys that falls back a little bit. Yeah. And I just don't want to start off a race losing points. Right. Like, that's what we've seen from Daily Fantasy is that is a terrible, terrible place to be when you're losing points. So with that said,
my recommendation is avoid Brad Keselowski this week.
Yeah. With that said, guys, let's go to the lineup segment. And we are the only show in the industry that shows you actual lineups that we both enter in the NASCAR 8K lug nut. They bumped it this week. We're up to 8K.
We keep moving up.
We keep moving up after moving back a little bit. We're back to moving up. That's always good. As you know, my team starts off with the JGR train. We got car 800, and I think this is the argument that Lear was going with Keselowski, is I would rather pay $200 more and get Matt Kenseth at 10-1 than deal with Keselowski at 9-9. Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense. Give me the guy that's on the pole. Give me the guy that's running up front. I automatically get points for laps led going when the race starts. Yeah. You know. I'll go ahead and take that all day long. And then I went ahead and supported my JGR crew with Casey Kane, as I told you guys earlier. I just think the value's there, and he runs really good on this track. I then added Austin Dillon. Now, the reason why I went with Austin Dillon is he has a decent track history here. It seems to be improving. But what's really nice about Austin Dillon this week is where he's sitting in the field. And I think he has the ability to move up and get you good points here as he's starting from the 21 spot. And you're going to see those back into the chase guys fall down. If I had to guess, which is what we're doing here, is Dillon and Kane are going to be the group of guys, possibly with Larson, that move on up into that pack. And those guys are going to be gaining points. I like those guys at value this week. And I just... at a $7,200 price tag, Austin Dillon can't really hurt you that much, I don't think, this week. But he has been known when he doesn't show up to go really negative. So be careful if you're putting him on your roster.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those plays that's a risk play. But if it pays off, it's going to pay off nicely. And with this track, there's going to be lap traffic if we get a long run going here. So But he's definitely one of those guys. He's at a decent price point for where he's starting at. So I definitely like the pick there, and like the lineup overall.
I still got one left.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then the value save so I could afford the JGR guys. I went back with JJ Yeley.
The JJ Yeley play.
I know, and it did me dirty last time the JGR train went off because JJ did not get his done. But here's what I'm going to tell you: JJ Yeley in practice was practicing around was practicing around the late 20s, early 30s mark at practice, meaning that's the times he was running. He was running good enough to be in that spot on the track. Because of the way the starting field's set, he is literally starting 42nd. I have one risk of losing one spot,
right,
and all the promise of gaining at a min price tag. Sign me up for JJ this week. I'm on board. What do you think?
I hope the Yaley play pays off for you, man, because you played him more. I haven't played him once this whole season, and you played him multiple times, and he's giving you the big kibosh every single time.
No, that's not true. He paid off
this
twice.
week, I hope that he definitely comes through and pushes it through for you.
Here's the thing, man. I really want you to pull, if you could somehow pull it off and get a win here, that'd be awesome.
Oh, that would be crazy.
I will guarantee, dude, if you get me enough points, if my team works right, and I get the seat in Miami, which is something we're going to talk about here in a second, I'll tell you what, I will buy a flame suit, and I will have you autograph it, and I will frame that thing, and it will be the prime point in my man cave. That's how much I love JJ Yeley if he can come through for me this week.
I mean, that would be. It's not going to happen, but that would be sick if JJ Yeley actually came from.
Oh, I know, dude. How tight would that be?
Oh my God.
42nd to win.
I mean, that would put so many people in NASCAR daily in life tilt so much. It would just be that funny.
No, but in all realistic expectations, I'm hoping he just moves up into the 30s. That gives him that'll give him more than 30.
Realistic for him.
That'll give him more than 30 points, and if he does that and the JGR guys do what they're supposed to, that should be in play to win some GPPs.
No, I like it, man.
All right, Lear. So what does your lineup look like?
So my lineup starts out with the two burning rubber guys, Joey Logano at 9,600, and then backing that up with Martin Truex at 9,300. Because of those two price points, then I got to fill in with some of the mid-tier filler guys. And the third guy that I have on my team is Ryan Newman at 6,900. He's doing great as far as in the chase so far. He's starting sixth this week because he's currently sitting sixth in the points. It seems like when the chase is on for him, he really does. He does the over the top and flips the switch and really gets it into performs well when he's on the line here for the chase, and has some he's got some mixed results here at the Monster Mile, but he's a great value guy at only $6,900, and he starts up towards the top, so I know he's got a chance to fall back in the field, but then he's also got the same opportunity to move up. He does have a winning car. He's a winning driver. He's just got a lot of opportunity here, and at his price point, I can't pass that up.
No, and dude, to be honest, I can't blame you. And like I said earlier when we were talking about who not to own and going to the garage, like I said, McMurray or Newman were the plays at that value.
Yeah.
And if you are in the position where you need a driver around the 6,900 mark, definitely grab one of them or spend up for two.
Sure.
That's just where we're at this weekend.
Yeah.
I think we're in agreement there.
So my next driver, this is going to be 2 weeks in a row, and I haven't barely done this all year, but I'm rolling back again with Trevor Bayne.
Wow.
He's coming in at $5,600, so a min value price guy for somebody that's won races on the Sprint Cup Series. He's had an up and down season, but he is at a great price point, and with him starting 29th this week with the lower tier drivers, he's a really low cost high value guy this week. And he paid off last week for me. He scored 45 points at his 5,600.
Oh, yeah.
He hasn't, moved up as far as his price. So I'm going to look for him to do the same exact thing and give me another free space there with possibly 40 to 50 points. And I know that paid off for you because I know you switched him out for somebody last week.
I did, and it did make me money. The problem that I have with Bayne is that I think he's qualified too high. Like, if he had a lower qualify, because I think he moved. Do you really see him finishing above 29th here?
Yeah, I really do.
Really? Okay, fair enough.
And the reason why I do is because when you're talking about guys from the 30th position on, you're talking about guys that basically, as far as Gilliland, Castle, Moffitt, Bowman, Alex Kennedy, DiBenedetto, Annette. I mean, those guys just don't have the type of experience that Trevor Bayne has, and those bottom tier guys definitely don't. So I definitely love him, and he only is like $300 more than some of these players. So I mean, as far as that goes, I definitely love Trevor Bayne this week.
I mean, dude, the Bayne play is an interesting one, and if as long, in all honesty, as long as he doesn't get caught up in a wreck, I think he's golden.
And I think he definitely has the opportunity to finish in the early 20s, if not in the higher teams this week.
You know what? I do have enough money left over to swap out Yelly for him again, and I might just do that. Although part of me feels dirty, like I feel like
you just committed yourself.
I want the Yaley to pay off so bad with the JGR trade. Oh
well. My next driver is definitely same as you, cousin Carl Edwards, Mr. Columbia, $9,500.
The third spot.
He's $9,500 for a guy that's probably the hottest driver on the circuit right now. He's starting third, should stay up front majority of the race. Give me some Columbia Carl Edwards all day long. Lead some laps, fastest laps, and like I said, he'll be in contention at the end of the race. And he's a JGR driver. Enough said on that. So I mean, give me cousin Carl for sure.
Right on. I like that lineup, dude.
And I got
you got one more. I realize that.
And my last one is a guy that is, as far as population on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, this is the popular name on the Cup is Dale Earnhardt Jr. And he's at a really good price point this week. He's $8,500.
Yeah.
And he is, as far as that goes, he's starting 12th position, and he needs a good finish here because he is on the bubble for the Sprint Cup Championship. And as they move to the next stage, if he does not have a good finishing here, he will be out. And that's one of those things where I know Hendrick Motorsports wants him to be up there, and he wants to win the title just like everybody else. And he's had some really nice results here too at the Monster Mile in his last four, starting at 1st, 13th, 25th, and 16th, with finishes of 2nd, 9th, 17th, and 14th. So really good place differential there for Dale Earnhardt Jr. And I look for him to be really aggressive tomorrow, as he wants to get this win, get some points, and move up in that chase. So at a $8,500 price point, I am all over the number 88 this weekend.
Fair enough. Like, as I've always said, I love Junior. Everybody else does too. That's my only problem with him. Is when I decide to put him on a lineup.
I think a lot of people
highly owned.
But I don't think this week. I think it could be one of those where he is really, really highly owned, or he's going to be really, really low percentage owned.
I mean, dude, have we ever seen Junior not be highly owned because of his fan base? That's my only concern.
I hear you there.
If he does what you're thinking he's going to do, though, he's a guy you need on your lineup.
Yeah.
So I totally understand it there. Like I said, it's just because he's so freaking popular.
Yeah.
He's way over-owned most of the time, and it's usually unjustified. I think it's justified to own him here. The problem is with this depressed price point, I think you're jacking the ownership percentage even higher, and that always scares me.
Sure.
But I'm more of a risk taker when it comes to tournaments, as you can clearly tell.
Well, you have to be sometimes.
With that said, guys, we're going to wrap up the show, but before we do, we wanted to talk a little bit about DraftKings Live Final. I wanted to thank DraftKings specifically for,
awesome.
First of all, offering us NASCAR, and then secondly, trying to establish NASCAR as a legit fantasy sport by giving us a live final. For those of you that don't know, live finals are a huge thing in the daily fantasy industry.
Especially football.
Especially football, where they originated. They've gotten big even in basketball, baseball, hockey. DraftKings had the first hockey one this past year. And now they've brought us the first NASCAR. 16 people will qualify to compete for $100,000 at Homestead in Miami. A special prize pack. They're flying you out to Miami, giving you a 5-star hotel accommodations for 3 nights. It's just a great opportunity to meet the other great players at Fantasy NASCAR. Lear and I are both trying to qualify for it. We encourage you use your dollars in NASCAR to try to qualify for it too. The fields aren't too crazy big.
Right.
They're actually smaller than a lot of the GPPs we play on a regular basis. And I encourage you to try to go after it, because worst case scenario, you're out the money. Best case scenario, you get a trip to Homestead and get to see some racing. And
meet some drivers.
Possibly get crowned the king of NASCAR.
That'd be awesome.
For the first season. So wish us luck. And if we're not getting it done and qualifying this week, hopefully it's one of you guys that follow us and watch and support our show. So with that said, guys, remember to like, favorite, share the videos,
subscribe
to the channel on YouTube, and have a great weekend, and let's get some racing done, boys.
And if you are a football freak like us as well, we also do the Ultimate Fantasy Football 3-Way show, which is up and ready for viewing for this weekend. So make sure to check that out as well.
A lot of high stakes players, a lot of legit players watch that show that we've been told, and we've got that feedback from those guys. It's definitely not a show that if you want light information and just us telling you who to play with no analysis, that's not the show for you. If you want to actually learn how to play daily fantasy and learn how to think daily fantasy from the football perspective, it's definitely the show for you. But it's an hour long, but it's well worth it, and
worth the commitment.
It's well worth your commitment and the time. So definitely check that out, guys. Have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend, everybody.